How's it going, everyone? Today we got the last of the Galactic Legend Ahsoka requirements. We'll look at prettier data than this, but we'll start here. I'm going to move pretty quick through our content today. I don't want to spend 10 minutes beating around the bush to show you the actual good graphs, but basically we got the last Ahsoka rec, so we're going to now compare all the requirements to all the other GLs in terms of like Kyrotech, signal data, and relic materials. I'm not worried about the fact that the 6 marquees, they're shard farms, that kind of thing. At the end of the day, when someone comes back to this in a year, all those characters are going to be full farmable anyway, so it doesn't even matter. They're all going to be completely accessible, double drop, whatever. So right now, we're not worried about shards. We're not worried about lifters. So I didn't factor in that Ahsoka has a lifter, that LV, JMK, C, SLK now, and Rey all have lifters. I didn't include their gear, but do keep that in mind. So this is just unlock requirements. It also does not include the GL themselves. Just quickly going to run through this, and then we're going to get on the nice pretty graphs, because this is a lot. This is like data vomit. These are your Kyrotechs for each of them, just below the person for shock prods, and then below it's Kyro. Computer kits, if you want to see the signal data, it's these 3. So that's the gray, green, and blue. The numbers, I'm sure, are really small. Don't worry, we're going to move on to big graphs here in just a minute. Then we've got CCBs, bronzium wiring. Again, if you just are interested in a particular one of these and just want to stop and look, feel free to do that. So I'll just scroll down and you guys can see them all there. So let's move on to the actual proper data. Real quick, I did not include arrow magnifiers and droid brains in the total relic material calculation because you either have those or you don't, or you're going to buy them with crystals, right? So if you need, look, it always mirrors, I guess is the way I should put this. If you need 80 impulses, you need 80 arrows. So just know, if you need 80 impulses, you also need 80 arrows. It just felt silly to double dip, since that's not something you craft with energy. It's something else entirely, so I didn't include that. These are our proper graphs. I'll move my head out of the way for this first one, just briefly. And now I'm going to move my head back. But this first graph is Kyrotech. And from left to right, and it's matching up these colors at the top here. Yellow is Rey, red's SLK, orange is JML, black is C, blue is Jedi Master Kenobi, maroon is Lord Vader, pink is Jabba, green is Leia, and gray, fittingly enough for our gray Jedi, is Ahsoka Tano. So, and I also put trend lines on these if you're curious. It's not like a big deal or anything, but just if you're wondering, if you look at the Kyrotech for like Lord Vader and Ahsoka, it's neck and neck. It's right there. So that kind of surprised me. The total values are up here if you're curious. So like LV's 3,300 and Ahsoka's 3,600. So only a 300 Kyrotech difference between LV and Ahsoka. But the signal data and the relic mats, they do start to step apart. But I thought that was interesting because if you compare LV, the reason LV gets so much hate is that for his price tag and how expensive he is, right? Like if we cut Ahsoka off of this graph, his chart is higher than everybody else. And I don't think anyone's going to sit and argue that LV is better than JMK or better than Leia or better than Jabba, right? Like he's just not. Like he's fine. He's probably better than Rey, maybe on par with like SLKR and JML. Like he's fine. He's probably better than C. You can give him that. But like, the problem is he's so much more expensive. So that's what we want to talk about is like, hey, is Ahsoka going to be an LV? Or is she going to be a bang for buck? Like, you invest this much, you're going to absolutely stomp everybody. But then how do they balance the game? So that's kind of why I wanted to demonstrate this. It's like, okay, if we look at this analytically and say that, and I know this is not how they look at things, but if we say, hey, all this resource, drain that Ahsoka's going to take, she's going to be equivalent to that in power. Obviously, it's not how they do things. If they do, she's going to be head and shoulders above the rest. That's the thing. If we look at Rey, it's double the Kyrotech for Rey and SLK and nearly C, and C as well. Almost double of JMK and JML. Like that's insane. Just Kyrotech. The signal data is where things get super nasty. 4,615 signal data. A lot of that is blue, not gray and green. A lot of it's blue. Because they all have the same number of characters required, more or less. There's one ship for some and no ship for others, but it's almost all the same number of characters. So a lot of that is purely the higher relic levels, which is a lot of extra blue that a lot of them didn't have. And again, if you want to see it broken out, you can see that on the page before. But yeah, I won't beat around the bush for 15 minutes here, but it's just I mean, you can see it for yourself. I mean, she needs just significantly more signal data than everybody except LV, and even LV, it's still more, right? She still needs, where is it? 46 versus 37. Still needs 900 more signal data than Lord Vader. Like 900 signal data is not insignificant at all. I mean, that is, if we're talking about gray, that's still a month. If it's blue, that's God. I don't even want to think about it, right? Now LV needs a lot of blue as well. He's got a lot of relic 8s. That's why he's so high up. And that's why the relic materials is even close, right? Because I don't know if you guys know this or remember it. You no longer need, I don't remember when they made this change, like CCBs, bronzium wirings, and maybe chromium transistors going from 7 to 9. So like the extra gap here on the relic materials between her and LV is she needs one more relic 8 compared to him, and then the relic 9, so the keypads. And that's more or less it. I think she needs more relic 7s. But, in case you missed it, in case you haven't seen it from someone else, the last requirement that we didn't know about that was released today was R8 Plo Koon, which I will say, I know a lot of people are probably like, oh my god, he's so useful. He was very useful at Relic 7 and Relic 8 for his ship, for the negotiator counter to executor. Punishing 1 has since nullified that, so this may be CG's way of throwing a bone to the people that already had an R7, R8 Plo Koon, like, hey look, it's not wasted, we're sorry, I doubt it, but if you already had, I already had an R7 Plo, so I took him to R8 in about 2 seconds, so that was fine. I know people aren't going to be thrilled that it's a Relic 8, but I'm not terribly surprised since so many people already had R7 and R8 Plo Koons. I'm just glad they didn't do R9. That's kind of where I land on it, but yeah, it's a lot. So, I mean, meta wise, she needs to be the best on defense, and she needs to beat everything convincing on offense. I hope she has counters. That's the thing. Is it so hard to look at this and be like, yeah, she's going to be unbeatable. Go for her. I don't know that I can say that. Like, I don't know that I can say, looking at these, that she's going to be insane. But I can say, if you decide to go for her, here you go. Take a look at the data. Understand that you're going to spend as much Kyrotech to get to get Ahsoka, as you would for Rey and SLK combined, as much signal data for Rey and SLK combined, and not quite double relic materials, but it really is kind of insignificant, to be honest. It might as well be double. It's 95 versus 5.4 and 5.1. So it's like 600 less than 500, 600 less than double. So just keep that in mind before you decide, I got to drop everything and chase Ahsoka. Again, and this doesn't factor in lifters, right? SLK is just now getting his lifter. He didn't have one. And Rey, even without Ben, it's more or less the same. Ben adds some extra puzzle complexity, but it's not like Ben elevates her to be some insane, crazy thing. Like JMK, I'll say it, without Cat's garbage. Sorry, he just is. He loses on defense to Gas, and on offense, he can barely beat any GLs. Just is what it is. It's fine. He needs Cat, whatever. LV, kind of the same thing. Without Maul, can't do much. And C and Bane's a whole different ballgame. C, Bane, together, extremely strong. C by himself, great at taking down non-GL teams and can kind of beat JMK, can beat JML, but you don't really ever see JML on defense. And then Bane by himself beats a ton of stuff. So it's very much like him and Bane have a different relationship than most GLs with their lifters. So Ezra Exile looks very, very tied to Ahsoka, so I expect that he'll go there, but anyway, yeah, I just wanted to like really put this data out there and be like, hey, look, this is the comparison. Make your decisions wisely. Again, 6 more key characters on Ahsoka, so do keep that in mind if you're doing this in the next year, that you do have 6 hard node farm characters. Well, I take it back. We don't know where New Sabine, Hu Yang, or General Syndulla will land. They could be Cantina or Fleet. But right now, all of her marquees are hard node energy characters. We don't know if she'll get an assault battle for her team. Obviously, we got an assault battle for the Enoch crew, so you get that out of gearing them. We don't know for sure that they'll be used for the raid, although I know that's a lot of the speculation. So there's a lot of things we don't know for sure yet in terms of return on that investment. Like Jabba, we have Smuggler's Run 2. Leia, we have the Ewok thingy where you get some relic materials as well. It's not quite as good as Jabba's mod stuff, but it's still there. So we have to assume that Ahsoka's going to get some return on investment event other than this Peridea assault battle, but we'll have to have to wait and see. So yeah, like I said, we're not gonna keep it 15 minutes. Please appreciate the data, use it to make your decisions, and I hope you can decide what you want to do. I caution again against going for Ahsoka, because if you look at this graph and you look at LV, he should be the second best GL, and he's just not. So again, wait and see. She'll be out in like 3 weeks. If you're watching this the day it comes out, she should be coming out in 3 weeks. So just wait, let some other people test, and then say, okay, yes, this is worth it. But do keep in mind she's going to have this exclusive datacron when she first comes out, so we're really not going to know where she sits on a power scale until 4 months after she releases and her exclusive datacron is gone. So that's going to be a teller as well. So anyway, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one.